So, welcome to another Exploring Consciousness with the Earth Nouveau Hub. Welcome, welcome. And we've got Tanya. Tanya's just been in Las Vegas, and she's kindly uh, suggested that we're going to do a show about that. And she's going to tell us all about it. We're going to ask all sorts of questions and just work with those energies today. So, thanks, Tanya. And you were just saying something about the video, which some of you may or may not have watched. So maybe you want to carry on with that.
Sure. So the video that I posted on the Earth Nouveau Hub by LightQuest International. So this gentleman is someone I've been working with since 2004, and I've gone through his light wave training, which is basically Pleiadian healing alchemy. And so I'm a practitioner of that. But the video that I posted on Earth Nouveau is about the galactic temples in Las Vegas. And Las Vegas, there's so much money that just comes in and out of Las Vegas that it's a very prosperous place. And I mean, of course, there's all kinds of things that, come with gambling and all that. But like everything, we take what we need from it and transmute that and move on. So one of the things that I was guided to do, my husband was working there, so I went and met him and had some free time to explore these galactic temples. So I did a self-guided galactic temple tour, and I'm going to write a blog, and as I kind of distill kind of some of this information, because there was a lot of information that came through. But one of the things that was really palpable to me is even from my hotel window, I could see all of the ships coming in and coming out of Las Vegas. I mean, it is a busy, busy, busy spaceport. And I think of think of Mos Eisley in Star Wars, or yeah, it's just really a lot of energy, galactic energy coming in and out of that space. And so, as I was tuning in and just sort of watching everything, it's like, okay, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be fun. So what I did was I wrote down, all the things that he talked about in the video, and there's a lot of information there. And so what he talks about are there's neutral zones that help distribute the energy. And then there's angelic guardian stations that work sort of like the Egyptian obelisks. And those are the Wynn and the Encore and the Trump Tower. And then there's star bases that flank Las Vegas. And I mean, I know Cynthia has just gone through rafting on the river and spending time with the Hopi people there. And with the Native American people, they've been connecting with the star people for, millennia. They claim their origins from the star people there. So, seven landing platforms and teleportation bases, basically. So I think all of the ships that I was seeing were moving in and out. And after we post this, I'll post some of the pictures that I took of the ships and things like that. So what I did was I started in the Mirage. And the Mirage is connected to the star system Andromeda and gives you a chakra clearing, a full chakratic alignment, and also clarity. So what I really love about the Mirage is I usually go to the secret garden there, which is the Siegfried and Roy garden with they have dolphins and tigers, but that was closed. So I just sat there and really, just opened up to receive any messages that were there for me. So, basically what the Andromedans were talking about giving me a message, saying thank you. We see you and thank you. We support you on your journey. And we support you on your journey to recreate the Garden of Eden on Earth. And my memories of Andromeda were really happy and also helped to inspire me, right, on this journey. So that was a really nice message to get from the Andromedans. So, so I did this whole thing in 2 days and I was completely exhausted afterwards. So I think really if you're going to do the Galactic Temple Tour, the self-guided temple tour, you really need to spend a little more time and have more than 2 days to sort of really get into the energies and really feel that. There's a lot of walking, and I mean, when I was there, it was over 100 degrees, so it was pretty hot. I mean, most of the time you can walk in the casinos, so it's not, it's air conditioned and in that space between daytime and nighttime where you don't even know what time it is. So then I went over to Caesar's Palace. And one of the things I found really interesting about all of, and please feel free to ask any questions if you have any as I'm going on here. So one of the things I found really interesting was that in every single casino that was hosting Galactic Energy, that there were these crystal shops. And you know how I am with the crystals. I'm like a magnet. So I walk into Caesar's Palace and walking through the shops, which is where the energy was most potent there, there's a crystal shop with giant clusters, big amethyst and quartz clusters. And so I spent some time in there. Some of the crystals need to be, need a little love, and some tuning up. Um, but what I saw here, right, is that the beings from Rigel were talking about the new energetic structures, right? And saying that we as humans are the new energetic structures. And as we're grounding our spirit, we can use the black ray and the white ray that connect with the black onyx and the white howlite. Got that right here. I'll show you. Black onyx, right, for grounding, and the white ray, this is white howlite, to help bring in the star seed energy and information. So if you're gonna go through this, it's nice to have the crystals, and I had actually most of them with me. I didn't have the howlite, but I do have it. So that's in my energetic field anyway. And this is about balance. This grounding, the grounding energy there at the Caesar's Palace, and the energy that comes in through the crown and anchors to the ground. Right. This is just about balancing our energy field. So going through the mirage, I got the chakra realignment, and just was very present in my body. And then in Caesar's Palace, just a lot of messages about the balance, right, and how we're working with that balance. So then, walked through and went over to the next casino, which was the Bellagio next to Caesar's Palace. And, these are my people. I hail from Alpha Centauri. So, this was interesting. And the picture that you see behind me is Dale Chihuly's ceiling in the Bellagio Hotel, which, the glass art, if you've ever seen any of his work, it's just so incredible. And, one of the things I've noticed walking around all of these casinos, because I was walking a lot and I was, getting tired, so I wanted to sit down. The only places to sit down now in these casinos is within the casino itself or within a bar, right? There used to be places in the lobby. And in some of the shop areas, the shopping mall areas, there are places to sit down, but not very many. So, I think it's interesting that, obviously it's about making money. And, someone was talking about when we were there. I can't remember who it was, someone who was from Las Vegas and lived there. I think one of the guys my husband was working with was saying that, it was easier when the mobsters were running everything because then you could get credits and there was some exchange of energy. Now it's just the bureaucrats and bean counters running everything, and it's all about the cash, the cash, the cash, the cash. So I thought that was interesting. But the message I got in the Bellagio was just breathe, be, relax, let go of your expectations, let go of thinking too much about things, right? And just feel that connection. So, feeling into that soul connection, right? And just allowing it to ground. And it's just a really powerful message, right? A simple, powerful message. I mean, how often do we forget to just breathe and be? So that's a really good reminder. So next, cosmopolitan aria. Um, this is the station for the Galactic Federation of Light. And so I was hungry. I found a place to eat here and found a place to sit down and just be in the energy of it. And this was a really busy galactic marketplace. Martina, you would really love this. It made me think of um, Valerian and the 10,000 planets. It made me think of Jupiter ascending when Mila Kunis goes through her naturalization process and has to go from station to station to station. It was like, watching the Men in Black spaceport where all kinds of galactic citizens were coming in and out of there. And it was busy, busy, busy. And basically I got the message that we see you, we thank you for the work you do. Thank you for distributing the light codes. And so all of us are doing this. And when we're consciously doing this, the galactics, they do see us and they do appreciate us. They say thanks. So a lot of appreciation from that quadrant, which always makes me feel really good and appreciated. But this hustle and bustle, it's like a busy DMV, and all this energy just coming in and coming out and coming in and coming out. And that's what I was seeing too with the ships, was backing up and looking at the skies and just seeing that bustle, 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 in and out, right? A lot of energy going in and out of there. The Excalibur was where I went next after walking through New York, which I think is one of the coolest casinos. Even though there's not really anything, galactic connected there, it does kind of hold space. But I mean, you can walk across the Brooklyn Bridge and walk outside in Central Park. And for me, I think New York casino outside was one of the most comfortable places to just sit down and hang out because they have like a central park. So all kinds of trees, all kinds of benches and picnic tables. And like if you're going with a family or something like that, or you have kids, you can just, it's cool to hang outside there. And it was one of the only places that you could be comfortably outside because it was shaded. So yeah, that was nice. But Excalibur is connected to Orion, and the gemstones are the emerald and the sapphire. And what Brian was talking about was the spiritual healing and also the 4D imprints. And what I noticed a lot was with Excalibur was there was a lot of energy around healing the ruptured connection between 3D and 4D. And this is part of the Archon grid energy that created uh, a rift between those dimensional frequencies or densities. And so I was seeing a lot of that connection, like healing that ruptured connection between the 3D and the 4D realms. And there's a lot of, spirits that have gotten stuck in that astral plane. And so, what did I write down? The old templates. So it's not everyone is going to connect with the 5D energies, but the energies on the planet with 3D to 4D, right? A lot of people are, sort of like trapped in this weird space. So I was guided to write a clearing revocation, and I can read that now if you will, like that. I can find it in my notes. There it is. So I am a celestial medium of peace. I will not judge you, no matter what. Spirits, ghosts, demons, you all have the ability to be free, to choose your experience. If not on Earth, there are other frequential and density experiences. If you wish to be free, you may be unbound, and you may be delivered to the destination of your choice under the universal law of one and the universal law of free will. On Earth, it is now time to live by the law and desires of Earth Mother, as she returns to her original design as a seventh dimensional seed planet. Hear, feel, taste, see, smell, and perceive my words. Now is your time to choose. Earth Mother, hear me as this decree is written into the Akashic record, and so be it. I'm grateful this is done. And so this is a clearing statement that you can use, anytime you want to help earthbound spirits choose where they want to go now, right? And this is about free will choice. Like Martina has said before, not everyone is choosing to go through the ascension process and go into this 5D. But there's a lot of support now for beings who do not want to ascend in that way, who want to spiral out into a different energetic system. So I think that's pretty exciting. Yeah. So, any questions so far about anything? So the Luxor. Now this was one of the most interesting places to be, because it is a pyramid. So when I was in there, it turned out, actually, I found out that I had a friend staying there, and I didn't end up hooking up with him at the Luxor. We had lunch at Paris the next day, but lunch in Paris, was that fun? So sitting in the Luxor, the Sirius is connected to Sirius, and obsidian, clear quartz are the gemstones for that. And this is embodying the light and also reflecting on the self. And one of the things that Brian talked about was the 4D, fourth dimensional link to the library at Alexandria. And I had a message from the librarians come in for this. So what they said was that the Book of Kells was influenced from the library of Alexandria. And they said, we are the librarians of Alexandria. There are many of us here incarnated on Earth in DNA. We are your living link and work as a bridge to the 4D library. You must have the soul code clearance to access this information. This is your library card, right? But the library is open. So one of the things I realized was that, and remembered, was that I had a fully dedicated lifetime to the library in Alexandria. And so, I'm a link, I'm a librarian. And it made me laugh because there's a show, I don't know if you guys have seen the show, The Librarians. Funny, but also made me really think about, this show, The Librarians, talking about soft disclosure, the Library of Alexandria. And Also, the Blue Man Group performs here, and the Syrian people often show up as blue-skinned people. So that was funny and cracked me up. So after the Luxor, I was really called to go over to the Tropicana, which wasn't on the list, but I kept getting, after the Excalibur and the Luxor, kept getting the impulse to go over there and do some energy clearing. And the Tropicana is one of the first casinos on the Strip. Actually, the Flamingo is the first casino. That was Bugsy Moran's casino. But the Tropicana, as I walked in and sat there, the whole casino was shut down and they were doing a software upgrade. So I had a bunch of crystals in my pocket and left some in the casino to help reboot, that casino within that higher density energy. And I could see the AI there working in the casino. So there's going to be a whole, I think, resurgence of energy. That was taking, I think, 2 weeks or until further notice. Who knows how long that's going to take. But um, yeah, I think there's going to be some really interesting energy coming up there. And there was a lot of old mob energy that was cleared out of there. I just did the clearing statement, and I could see, you know, all of these people who were connected to the previous mob in that casino, um, who were ready to move on to their next journey, who were trapped, within that, between that 3D, 4D energetic hold or binding. So MGM Grand, walked into the MGM Grand, and in the lobby of the MGM Grand is a lion. And it's interesting because this energy was connected to Hydra, and I was seeing with the planet Hollywood and the MGM Grand, which are right next to each other, the Lyran and the Hydra energy really being very fluid within those two casinos. So as I stood there, I had a lot of memories of teaching in Atlantis. Right? There was a lot of Atlantean code energy and memories that came in for me there. So that was really interesting. Again, though, no place to sit down. I would have really loved to just sit by the lion. In fact, I almost just sat on the floor. But I just stood there and spent time with the big MGM golden lion. So that was my day one. After that, I was totally crashed out and took a cab back. So then day two, I was staying probably pretty close to the Encore and the Wynn, and so I walked through and I sat in the sports book in the Encore casino, and was really getting a lot of that angelic code distribution energy. And what were they? They were showing me the energies of the color rays and the way that they're impulsing these rays of light, right, through the system, right, through this system that's sort of been set up in place. So it's also connected with the ancient Atlantean crystals, and so the colors of the crystals and the way that that energy is impulsing. So that was interesting. The Archangel Uriel came in and was working with the red ray, and then Jophiel was working with the golden ray. And just really, the messages that I got there was really just about enjoying life, really just, enjoying the human life, right? We spent so many lifetimes not in physical, that to just be here on the planet and be able to love and appreciate all of those little human things, and help to share that energy with other people, right? This is the celebration, right? We do the work and then we celebrate. We eat and we drink and we be merry and we love each other, just enjoy life and love each other. So that was really nice. Yeah. And then I went to Paris and met my friend for lunch there. This is the energy around selenite and spiritual guidance, and again, the messages coming through there was just be you, right? Be human, enjoy being human, eat, drink, make love, share your stories, share your life, you know, allow just allow yourself to do what you want, right? Don't be constrained by other people's expectations of what they think you should be. So that joy, bring through that joy with prayer and with dance. Yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful message there. So then I went to Planet Hollywood and sat in that Lyran energy. And this is where one of my favorite shows in Vegas is, and this is the silliest thing, but it's called the Popovich Comedy Pet Theater. And this guy is a former Russian circus performer. And when the old Soviet, I should say USSR circus performer, when the Soviet bloc broke down, he, came to the United States and he created this circus show. And what he does is he adopts, rescued cats and dogs and has them performing on stage. So at one point on stage, there's 14 cats. Can you imagine? And one of the cats, he didn't really want to do his job. He was wanted to eat everybody else's treats. So, there was a little bit of discrepancy on like the training of the cats. And how can you train 14 cats? Come on. But I thought it was really interesting just feeling the Lyran energy there and the energy from Hydra. And the Planet Hollywood also, in this circus show full of kids, in the circus show, in the beginning, there's a guy walking around selling coloring books, kids' coloring books. And he has a cat riding on his shoulder. And this cat is an ambassador. And all of these cats are ambassadors from, these planetary systems that are, basically helping humans understand that animals are people too. Animals are beings that deserve the same recognition and love and cherishing that humans do. So that was fun. I also thought it was interesting that the crystal store that was in this place was there was a giant Tibetan like Buddha head in front of this crystal store. And as this energy was also connected to the ancient masters, I thought it was really interesting that each one of these crystal stores, even though they were the same company and the same name, they were sort of all tailored to what was going on in that casino. So this giant Buddha head, 5 feet tall and 4 feet wide, and they had all in this one store, they had all of these like ancient malas, wooden malas and different like prayer beads for Buddha and for, some of the different Indian masters. And that's really, really interesting because very different from the crystal store in Caesar's Palace, right? Which was the giant clusters and, giant like trees. Yeah. So that was really interesting. And then after that, as if that wasn't enough, I went to the Venetian and sat there. And, this is the Venetian was connected to the energy of angel light, which is peace, and sujilite, which is working with that inner child. And it was just really an open portal. I think it was originally built on a burial ground. So there was a lot of like soul energy releasing that was going on there. Yeah. And then the next day, the next morning, we were leaving and we were going to swim in the pool, and there was a huge thunderstorm. I mean, woke up with thunder, and then just pouring buckets and buckets and lightning and thunder. And it was almost like after I grounded, that higher frequency energy, I always work as the grounding cord. So after I grounded that higher frequency energy and just walked the cycle for 2 days, just walked and walked, then all of a sudden the rain could come in and just wash old energy away. So that was my experience. And I'm sure there's a lot of little things I sort of need to sit and still decompress with it and sort of decode it, and write a little bit more, I think, about it. But yeah, it was definitely worth the trek, and worth yeah, just being there and being in the space, and being able to see the bigger picture.
But what an example, hey, for self-mastery, diligence, practice, prep works, ritual, ceremonial, and all that in 2 days. I'm fascinated.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. I would have liked three or four. And maybe next time I'm gonna take a little more, take a little more time with it. But I was inspired and just wanted to kind of like hit it hard and get it done, and then, next time go back and explore a little bit more with it.
What's so amazing is that, from all these different ones you've mentioned, you could really, really perceive the difference, you know? Um, and that is fascinating. And I'm just wondering, obviously you've prepared yourself for that, but I'm wondering, if you would have walked in there without any knowingness, would you still have picked up all those nuances of the different energies and everything?
I mean, I was looking for it, right? I was going in with a specific intention to connect, right, with those specific energies. And I mean, that's what it is, right? Intention, 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 right? Connecting with any energy.
Absolutely. And this is actually the teaching. Part of the teaching is exactly that. Yeah. Lots of people, they rock up somewhere and say, okay, spirit, enlighten me. Well, it doesn't
Hmm.
work that way. It works through a concentration, a purification of your focus and your intention. This leads us back to us being the creator of our experience, and there's you know there is such a big teaching in that, to go somewhere and to actually prepare yourself instead of just waiting for orders.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. And there might be people say, oh well, you're obviously projecting out and stuff like that, but it's not the case. It's not like that, because it's quite interesting. I bet if you would have walked into the Caesar, and started applying what you knew about Planet Hollywood, it would have not worked,
Hmm.
right? And this is quite interesting at times when we do stuff like that, even the prep work, you cannot obviously run it by your own perception. It will not work. You can't apply something. That's the truth. That's that authentic truth that shines through all of those experiences, Beautiful.
Yeah. Well,
Beautiful.
I mean, I think really the most surprising was the energy, the information coming from the library, in the Luxor, because the Luxor also, connects to that like 60 sacred geometry, right? That's who the Syrians are, right? They're geometric beings. And I've been revisiting the book The Pleiadian Agenda by Barbara Hand Clow, which is just so rich in galactic information, that I was expecting when I was sitting under the pyramid in the Luxor, really between the paws of the Sphinx, the constructed Sphinx, to really get more information around the 60 geometry. And that's not what came through, right? It was the energy from the library.
Mm-mm-mm.
Okay. I never even really thought much about the library.
Mm.
But now I know that I have a library card. I can access it.
Fantastic. So you've got a dog, right? The
I
dog
do.
didn't come with you on the journey?
No. Mm-mm.
No. So what, because you mentioned animals, and they're quite amazing, those animals. When you got back, how did the dog react to you? Did you perceive any different?
The same as always. The same
Okay.
as always. Yeah. Yeah.
Because often when we do go away and we have these huge changes in our energetic makeup and we come back, it's often like the dog's like, whoa, who are you? And it's a new sort of introduction. But then again, you know, if you have a really strong connection to the dog, you can be away, obviously, and you know, lock in.
Yeah, she's a she's an interesting being, my dog. She will all she wants to do is play, right? But sometimes she'll look at me out of the corner of her eye like, really? Like she's just wise. You know, she's wise, but she came here in the body of a dog to play because that's her program in this life.
Wise and play. Let me just throw something in here because you're saying that. And remember what Tanya just said now, yeah? Has anyone seen his dark materials?
Yeah. I've read the books and seen the HBO and seen the Golden Compass.
So his dark materials is just in a big in a nutshell here is like that. Just the one thing I'm picking up. So there are every person has their own demon, and if you go back into the very old definition of demon, it wasn't bastardized by the clergy as it is now. It was actually the word for spirit, the word for soul. And every person in that series has their own animal that represents the soul of the personality, even if you wish, from that particular person. And it's funny because it changes as long before they go into the change into puberty, you know, the animal changes, and then at some stage they need to make a choice, which is the animal they're going to carry on from there. Now it's so funny, hey? So if we say that your dog, Tanya, that you just described as wise and playful, your demon,
Yeah.
telling us what about you? Amazing.
Let's play. Let's play.
Oh,
Let's celebrate. Yeah.
it's such a cool way of looking at your animals, you know. It's a bit like totem animals, isn't it? Yeah, beautiful. Any questions, guys, for Tanya? Thank you so much for leading us through your temple, Galactic Temple.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Much more questions that we will have for you.
I know that's a lot of blah, a lot of information.
Well, you know, you did it in like 35 minutes. There was 2 days, you know, stuck in 35 minutes. So well done, you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, Vegas, who wants to go there?" But again, something for everyone. Something for everyone, even for us high frequency souls who, you know, are working on the evolution of the planet.
Cynthia, yeah. No, amazing. Amazing. I need to rewatch actually that video as well, the one you posted in the Earth Nouveau.
And it's short.
Right.
It's
Yeah, it's not
10,
that.
10 minutes or something like that. So.
It doesn't rain that often in Las Vegas, so it's special for you to have been there during a thunderstorm.
Yeah, it was really, I mean, intense. We were staying at the Marriott right across from the convention center, and there was a convention that was starting that day, I guess, and all kinds of people, you know, coming in, and there was just so much water pouring through that people were like, What is going on?" It was really funny. Yeah, and then after that, giant ships, you know, come through. Yeah, fascinating.
So when you said early on you took pictures of those ships, did you actually get them on in material in tangible form?
No, they're cloaked, by the clouds, but you can definitely see them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the clouds, the ships really will mainly cloak in clouds like that, but you can tell where there's almost like the darker underbelly of the cloud. You can just see it. You can see it, if you look at it, and say, okay, is that a ship? Is that a cloud? You'll just get, oh, ship. Of course, it's a ship. Yeah. It was interesting because it was like, I guess was it the new moon? I think I was there on the new moon or just right around the new moon, and it was very busy. I was really just amazed. And I think I really got um, the the for the star bases and for the ships coming in and out. I got almost like the best view on the bridge between New York, and Excalibur, right, where you're looking west and then you can look east. So it was interesting. I really had an awareness, right, standing on that bridge where there was sort of like a wider, expansive view that I could really kind of get the sense and kind of see more. So I think that was the best place to connect with those energies.
I was just about to ask, with all the money and the Babylonian money system and everything, there must be quite a bit of veiling and overshadowing in those places. And you've just basically confirmed that by being in a more expanded space out there, you have a much better view and perception, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I
Mm.
mean, it's really in the middle of the desert, right? So this oasis in the middle of the desert due to the Hoover Dam. And I've been to the Hoover Dam. I've done, some prayers and meditations there. And yeah, I had a really interesting, profound experience there, at the end of that Grand Canyon.
Mhm.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if it was crowded with people.
Some
And
places were really crowded and some weren't.
yeah, so when you're taking us through the tour, I'm like, well, what did you run into any people, cloaked as something, like have a message for you? Like, you get messages from people all the time.
Mhm.
You don't even kind of ask for it. They just tell you something and it's like, oh, that's
Mhm.
fascinating. So I'm wondering, because there's so many people there and you're seeing them as you're walking through all these hotels, that I don't know, did you have any?
I didn't have any experiences like that. I mean, it was almost like I was invisible in a
Mhm.
way, so like I was sitting in the shopping area around the Fountain of the Gods in the Caesar shops, and just sitting down for a little while because I'd been walking, and there was actually a bench there, and all kinds of people wanting to take their picture in front of this fountain, take the picture in front of the Fountain of the
Mm.
Gods. And so I took a lot of pictures for people, but it was interesting. I just kind of sat there quietly, and people just kind of did their thing, did their touristy thing with their kids and their mothers and fathers and grandparents and just all kinds of people walking through those shops at the Caesar. It wasn't very crowded there, but there were all different types of people walking through there. And yeah, I mean, Bellagio was really, really busy. I was standing in the lobby underneath the glass because that's where I like to be. And there used to be a big bench in the lobby that you could just sit down on, a big, beautiful, like leather bench. And now it's just like, check in, check in, check out, right? They have like a checkout counter where you can do um, digital checkout or digital check in. There's not really a welcoming space, right? Like there used to be in these grand lobbies. But that place, the Bellagio, was really busy. The casino there was really busy.
So this
But
gets, oh, sorry, my
yeah,
internet's kind of wonky, but so I'm thinking as, because I wrote down like where each of you, like the chakras, and then the Caesar's was balance, and then so Bellagio was breath. And it's like, wow, that was the most, maybe that's what most of the people needed, was that relax and breathe as you, so it's fascinating to see how many people were at each hotel that needed what you just said, a chakra realignment or a to breathe, or I forget what else, balance. Like that's kind of cool. I don't know. I just saw that whole picture.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I just stood in the lobby for a while and you know, put my little notebook on the checkout counter and just was kind of writing through the messages that were coming through and sitting and journaling and yeah,
Yeah.
just definitely took the time to just stand there and be there, right? And people coming in and coming out and checking in and people in the casino and yeah.
Yeah. And one other question. I know, are those casinos? I've never been there, but I'm near Atlantic City. And are they on Indian reservations like the new ones are now? Is Las Vegas on an Indian reservation?
Not on a reservation, but there
Uh,
are a lot of reservations around there.
yeah, because
But I
most of
mean,
them, yeah.
yeah, one of the things that I saw, what was it, the Huatal people? No, those are, I can't remember. I took a picture. Let's see if I can find it. There was a Native American tribe that was indigenous to that area. And
Mhm.
one of the reasons that Las Vegas grew up where it did was because there were springs. There are springs there. So there's water, natural water. But there were pictures in one of the casinos, I can't remember which, of some of the native people. Oh, I know, maybe it was downtown. Downtown is downtown Las Vegas is a whole another thing. My husband likes downtown the best, but the Golden Gate Golden Gate Hotel and Casino was the first hotel and casino in downtown Las Vegas, and that grew up around an old railroad port. So when they built the railroad through there, Las Vegas was a stopping point, um,
Mm.
between California and the East. And so then the Golden Gate Casino, that was the first one there, and Frank Sinatra used to perform there and everything. Um, yeah, that was. I think there were pictures of the native people in one of those downtown casinos that we were in. Let's see if I can find those because I can't remember the name of the tribe. But yeah, I mean, then of course they got pushed out.
Yeah. Yeah, some of them are now built on the reservation. I don't know what for. I don't know if anybody knows why they are. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, I know in California, there are a lot of Indian casinos, right, that are either on reservation or owned by um, the native the native tribes.
Mhm.
I think
Tanya,
that the laws are different. So if state laws have restrictions on gambling, if they're on the reservation, they're exempt from some of those laws.
Like on the water too, right? Like if you're on the water. Yeah.
yeah.
But I think that, isn't there a reservation leading up to, you said you went to the Grand Canyon too, right? I think that
Not on
you,
this trip. In the past, I have though. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think there's a reservation that you go through to get to the Grand Canyon. At least when I went to the South Rim, it was like that.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's a number of reservations right around that area.
Yes. But in Florida, there's a few, the Rock Casino. There's a few that are, the huge one in Florida is very popular in Broward County,
Broward County.
Broward
Yeah,
County,
Broward County.
Florida.
Yeah.
That's the more popular ones. And there's another one, I believe it's like in Naples area too. they're very, very powerful in, people coming over there all the time, and they have a lot of musician presentation and singers, popular singer coming to the casino because they have very strong economy power in that area. Mm.
Right. I mean, I think about like in Marin County and Lake County, there's the Twin Pines Casino in Lake County that's not on a reservation but is owned by an Indian tribe. And then
Mm.
the Creighton Casino is also in Santa Rosa. That one's not on a reservation either, but is also owned by an Indian tribe.
Mhm. Yes. I think there's one in Jupiter's too in Florida. I don't remember exactly, or close by to that area. They have a strong presence, the Indian tribe with casino in Florida. For some reason, they was able to preserve some of the power. Some people complain about it, saying, "Well, these people get everything free; they don't pay taxes." I said they was told that their lands, they had to get some reward back. Some people complain about it that they don't pay taxes, all that stuff. People really complain, and my answer is, "But they having thrown out other lands, and they had to receive something back."
One of the things that always surprises me about the casinos is why, why don't they have a spa with traditional Native American healing? Because I think a lot of people would do that.
Mm.
Why not, indeed?
Why not? I would.
Interesting.
I would.
Mhm.
Yeah, the natural springs, at least on this side in they don't have anything like that. You can't even access them anymore. Like going into the hot springs. Interesting. It's there. They're there, but you can't bathe in them.
Interesting. I did a lot of driving. So, drove from San Francisco to Vegas. And on the way there, on the Highway 15, which kind of goes to LA, I hooked up, in the middle of the state there. But there's a road called Zisk, ZZYSK. And I just thought it was really funny. I drove past it twice, on the way to Vegas and then on the way to San Diego. And I mentioned it to one of my brother's friends who, communed with us at the wedding. And she said, yeah, that there was a guy who ended up developing a hot spring off of Zisk Road, that there were natural hot springs there, but it's in the middle of nowhere. So it's like nothing, it's nothing now. It's just a hole in the ground now. Yeah. So there's all kinds of natural hot springs that go through that space.
Yeah. So then I have a question about the Galactic tour that you said that this was. How did it, are all casinos that energy of where you were, are all casinos now that same thing that you did for that piece of it, the same for all casinos, or no? Is it just the land that they're on?
I think it's the land
The
that
land.
they're on, right? That's really magical, right? I mean, it was already galactic, right? Before the casinos even went in, right? Like we were talking about earlier, the native tribes from those areas, communed with the galactics and were descended from the galactics, the star people. So, that energy was already there. Right? And I think now it feels like that it's more of a gathering place, right? That there's a wider variety of galactic energy there than there maybe was originally.
Is there anything else that around United States or America that's the same energy like that?
I mean, not to my knowledge.
Okay.
But I mean, I think that I did spend time at the Devil's Tower in Wyoming, and that's very galactic. You know, there are a lot of galactic connections there. But I mean, my experience there was really mainly with the blue avians. So, not to say there's not others, right? I
Okay.
mean, I think because the veils are a little bit thinner now, it's easier now to connect with our higher dimensional galactic friends. So maybe we're going to see more and more and more of this all over the place. I mean, Martina's in the UK, right? Those are definitely lots of galactic energies there.
Yeah, and I think, you know what, it's a really good example. This whole journey here of yours is a very good example of actually the tangled and the unentangled observer teaching. How you can actually go, because you know, so many people think they can only have spiritual or galactic experiences when they go to a place that is highly spiritual. You know, you would not think for 1 second that Las Vegas is a place where you can have these experiences, and it really depends who is going there. But Tanya, you were actually saying something before. You were saying people didn't even see you.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly. You can't have that kind of experience when you get distracted and entangled with what's going on there, you know. But at the same time, you can have an interaction with the people, just like you said. You know, you took their pictures and everything, and at the same time, as the multidimensional avatar that you are, you actually maintained your other frequency at the same time. So it's a really beautiful illustration what is possible. Um, and there is no excuse. You don't have to go to, as I said earlier on, to any specific places. You can have that kind of experience and filter it through wherever you go. If you know what multidimensional frequencies are and how to play them. And it's a practice.
It is a practice. You know, it's a continual
Thinking, listening there,
continual.
Martina. Can you hear me? Am I muted?
Go, go, go. Yes, we hear you.
I was just thinking, listening to you there and listening to Tanya's story, that I've had similar experiences here on kind of isolated islands off the coast. And yeah, you don't have to go to Las Vegas. And of course, it would be the last place that you would think of going actually for spiritual experiences, but then they're everywhere. And when I listen to you, Tanya, talking about your experiences, it reminds me yet again of the richness and the amount of energy that is around us that we don't always have the time to connect with. And that's okay, because it's always there and it's always connecting anyway. But it's just when we do get time to pay attention to it, as you went on that journey, you went with that intention and that focus in your mind, and you kind of cleared everything else out so that you had room for that and a space for that. And I could sit and listen to you talking about it all day, because I'm almost having a parallel experience just listening to you. I've never been to Las Vegas, but I've been to other places where I would have had similar experiences. So it's a great reminder, of what kind of energy we're in and is around us, and the amount of information and knowledge and wisdom that's around us all of the time, and the connection and the multidimensional aspect to us and to the world that we're in. It's just amazing actually when you actually sit and pay attention to that. So thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. And I think that's a really great point, right? Intention, 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 right? If you think about the energy, it's there, right? You can
Yeah.
connect because it's multidimensional energy. It's not like it has to, walk from Las Vegas to San Francisco, right, to connect with you, right? Maybe there's
Yeah.
some places that are easier to connect, but that energy is always there when you think of it, when you call upon it.
Mhm.
So I want to say, do you know, Mary, you were just saying, you know, like Mary is super fluent on her spiritual planes. So she, if I may say so, Mary, you love working on the soul level. That's why it's so
Yes.
easy for her to just connect. And she was there with you, like she said. I mean, we all were, you know, but she's particularly good at that, you know, to live in those planes as well a lot.
Yeah. Yes, Martina.
And in addition to that, you know, I just want to, that teaching that pops in here is like the inspiration of doing that, of being invited into that kind of experience. And then in addition to acknowledge that when you go there in your physicality, you will add to that fabric of creation and fabric of experiences through your own specific signature frequency as you physically go there, you know.
Yes.
So there's just this one thing. It's always good to have these inspirations and we live with somebody else's experience. But then if we want to extrapolate more of our unique soul imprints and soul experiences, then sometimes we do have to really go there as well, in addition.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was even thinking as you were talking to Martina earlier there and Tanya, that, you know, with those places where a lot of people go, it's like a pilgrimage kind of place. So when a lot of people go to those places and they achieve that multidimensional connection, I think it does raise the level of energy in that place because people have gone and acknowledged that place. So that people are attracted back to certain places because of, well, they're known about, for one thing. You know, it's like Tanya was saying about the spring that was just simply a hole in the ground. And there's so many places here where I live that we have springs and they're just holes in the ground and you just walk past them every day. But, you know, they're really pure. There's a real pure energy about them, but we don't actually stop to recognize that, or they're not known about worldwide. So there's so many places like that on the planet that just aren't known about.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And then, you know, there's also the other element, you know, to add to that is if you go to these places in unawareness, you can also pick up a lot of crap.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's obviously always balance in everything. And what comes to mind is Burning Man. I've never been, but Burning Man, I don't know if there's any correlation to any of that, but for some people, they say it's the most amazing spiritual experience. And for some say it's don't ever think of going there. It's infested with dirty energy. I have no idea. Has anyone been? No.
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 I participated before it became what it was, but I used to I know the guy who started it, and he
Yep.
was always kind of a jerk. So I, you know, didn't, he's passed away now, but I didn't really want to participate because it was his creation, right? And you know, I knew him and did, right, in the very beginning. You know, I was used to be in a spoken word band
Mm-mm.
with some mutual friends of his, and when he started it, it was out at Baker Beach here in San Francisco, and he was just kind of a weirdo. I mean, I'm a weirdo too, I guess, but he was just not someone I wanted to spend time with, and so just never did the whole desert thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I find the art amazing. The stuff people wear when you just look at the pictures, like, oh my God, it's amazing, you know, and construction work that is, especially what fascinates me without looking at any energetics here is that gets created, is a bit like graffiti. That fascinates me too, because you create that for a certain period of time with the knowingness that you're going to burn it. You're going to have it over painted. You're going to get rid of it again, you know, and stuff like that. So it's quite a fascinating thing, but I do remember, I don't know, I've never felt drawn to it. I never really looked into it, but I do remember Avi saying at some stage that the energies are quite rough there. You know, there's quite a bit of shit going on there. I don't know.
There's you know, a lot of people from here go.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different groups and different camps that will create the art here and then assemble it there.
Okay.
In one place in Hayes Valley, a couple years ago, there was, I mean, I think that because of COVID, Burning Man didn't happen.
Probably, yeah.
So
Yeah.
they built one of the structures in Hayes Valley at this park. And it was the coolest thing, built out of almost like balsa wood, you know, really kind of thin wood. They built this almost giant, like Indian temple structure that you could go in and write messages. And then they ended up, when Burning Man started happening again, they ended up deconstructing it and taking it and then I think burning it there. But
Is
yeah,
that what happens? Do they take all the construction work and literally burn it? Is
not
that
all of it.
not all of it?
Not all of it. There's some things that get, you know, put up, I think, every year.
Mm.
I recall seeing there's some sculptures that some people have posted pictures of where it's like a, two adults facing away from each other, and then
Mhm.
the children that they are like facing together.
Mhm.
That sculpture, I think we've seen a number of times,
All right.
like a metal
I've seen
sculpture.
that one.
And
Yeah.
some of the art gets installed, you know, around here.
Danny, and I was wondering when you mentioned Men on Black, that it was like seeing people from different species in different places. I was wondering because we are creating this reality, and because we believe whatever the system is presenting to us, that was the real scene, 3D. I was wondering, in your feeling, do you think we are more close to people being more open to accept it and not be afraid to the unknown, that we can manifest this connection in the near future? Because really we are just afraid to know the truth. And I think that's why we keep in this veil or in ignorance about another world or another life or another dimension, is because we are afraid to know the truth. And because the system use that against us, if more human being become aware and that is enough, we are open to, you know, listen to see the truth, they will be more open to present themselves in those ships, a spaceship, and then would be maybe overcome this situation that we have in this planet right now, because so many people working toward the same thing. We are tired of this craziness and control manifestation in this 3D. And then I said, why it's like we are so drunk that we don't want to get sober. It's like, it's fascinating to me. So many people working toward the same thing. And we see so many distractions here in this reality that is not a reality, it's just a belief system. It's enough people stop believing the 3D, then maybe we can open the curtain or something like you know, the scenarios. I said, well, okay, we want to see what's behind the curtain, what's it the show about it, something like that.
I mean, I think people see what they want to see, right? And like I was saying, people didn't really see me or acknowledge me, right, when I was walking around and connecting with these multidimensional energies. There were some people who did and some people who didn't. And there'll be some people who see and who have an awareness, and then it will go out of their mind, right? I mean, I think everybody's different, you know, and I don't know.
Remember, it's an individual awakening.
Exactly.
You know, and what that means is what Tanya really beautifully illustrated is, you know, the the different bubbles of realities, the different earths. Because remember, all this 3D, 4D, 5D is just a different level of awareness. There's no such thing as anyone ever lived only in 3D. Yeah, it's not like that. It's just the level of perception. So when we talk about the different bubbles of reality, what that means is that, Tanya will be sitting in the Caesar in her bubble of reality that is literally a material, tangible thing for her. And then the one who passes by, who's never done any single, spiritual work at all, will be in a completely different bubble of reality. Yeah. So there are people who are already seeing and communicating literally with extraterrestrials, interdimensionals. They're already they've been doing this forever. But it would be a situation, Armenia, where Tanya, let's say Tanya and Amy sitting on the couch having a conversation with, I don't know, with a reptilian, right? A benevolent reptilian. And then the postman walks, no, that's derogatory, not saying that. Anyone walks in with no multidimensional perception or never really thought of it, and they only sees Tanya and Amy sitting there, nobody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we start looking at all of that, it becomes a very unmystical situation. It's no longer magical or mystical. It's literally using your intellectual understanding to realize, oh, okay, I can actually change my perception. So I can bring these through my intention. And this is what leads us back, through your intention, you will start accumulating all those experiences that are beyond the tangible realm.
Yeah. It's kind of like a mind cracking myself, because it's so huge, because so much belief system, and like you said, like everybody's in their own bubble reality that when one point said, oh my God, turn to the right or left.
We suspend our belief system, which basically means you have no point of view, you have no anything, no value system, no beliefs, no points of views, no conclusion, no expectation, no projections. You have infinite access to universal wisdom.
Yeah.
So that's what
I was just going to share something with you all that illustrates, Martina, that point as well.
Okay.
It's a good few years ago now, and I would have told you this before, Martina, when we met, but you may have forgotten it. I was coming home from work one evening, and I parked at the corner shop, and I was running into the shop to get something, and I was just focusing on the path as I was running in. And then I noticed a girl with a bucket in her hand where she was collecting money for something. And I started to search in my pockets to see if I had any change to give to her. And as I was doing it, she says, just stop. And I looked up at her, and she started to talk to me about my face and about what I was holding in my face. And it was all very positive. And I went, oh, okay. And I sort of drifted into the shop and forgot all about the money. And then as I was inside in the shop, I thought, oh, I never put anything into her bucket. So I turned around, but she wasn't there. So I said to the girl at the till, can I ask you who was collecting outside today, and what were they collecting for? And she said, where? And I said, just outside your door there. And she said, nobody. And I thought, oh, right. So I got what I needed and went home. And I had a second experience, something similar to that, on a main street in a town, where a lady came up to me again, giving me a message. And when I looked around, she wasn't there. So it is it's very much in keeping with the I suppose, the theme of what we're talking about today, and about that multidimensional aspect, and how we can be, you know, fully intended to be focused and open to receiving it. But on both of those occasions, I have to say, I wasn't thinking about anything like that. But there was obviously some part of me that was open because I saw it and I experienced it.
And you never forgot it.
And I never forgot it, no.
Not forget it.
I had a
Because
similar experience to that at Niagara Falls, where I was on the Rainbow Bridge, crossing from Canada, the United States to Canada, and I was just setting some intentions and, you know, saying some prayers, standing on this Rainbow Bridge, and all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, a monk appears behind me and stood with me, you know, maybe like 6 or 10 feet away. And then I, you know, continued what I was doing, and then I turned around and he was just gone. Just gone. You know, it was like he showed up in that time and space to help, you know, hold space for whatever, you know, work that I was you know, whatever energy that I was grounding there. And then that was it. Then he was gone. And I got a lot of messages from the Ascended Master. Gosh, what was his name? I can't remember now.
Katumi?
The yellow ray. The Shokan of the Yellow Ray. I'll think of it. It's slipping my mind now. Probably because I'm not supposed to be talking about it.
Maybe. Those are the earth angels, you know, sometimes you can say as well. It happens. I had a situation where it was a slightly different energy. I fell pregnant I was in South Africa, and I had already done a test at home, but I went to the hospital to get it all tested there, and I was not. It was something I didn't plan at all. And in those days, in my life, this was very overwhelming for me. And I was in many, many different minds about it. So anyways, I had this test done, and then the nurse comes up to me, and she obviously realized I was absolutely devastated. So what the hell is going on? And she didn't say anything. She gave me the result. And the next thing she did is she pulled out her wallet and showed me a picture of a young blonde man, I can still remember. And she said to me, "This is my son." I said, okay, what? And she said, "He's 20. And she said, "It's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I was much younger than you." I never seen this nurse again, ever. And I was definitely one of those ladies, because it's one of those, you know, she came to say, "Hey, Schnock, it's okay. You can do this." I'll never forget
Wow.
that, just like Mary or you on the Rainbow Bridge, you know, it's these other things, these earth angels or whatever, you know, they come to help, they come to inspire, they come to show us who we are. Really, really cool exercise to look for those moments where it has already happened to you.
Yeah.
Well, Martina, you know, that's what you say is so powerful. I feel it in my face, in my body. It's like I start sweating. Oh my God. I can feel like a hat, my body getting hot in my face and my back.
Well, you just validated my experience.
Oh, your experience about the lady, it was like so profound.
Yeah.
And it's like I felt it in my whole body. That's interesting. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is it. We have these situations not all the time, but we have them. You know, it's like really, it's a bit like our victory journal, you know, writing our victory. That's part of the victory journal. Make it a separate page for it. Magical, so-called magic
Yes.
experiences, because at the end of the day, you know, who was the chick? Yeah.
Yeah.
I called her Earth Angel for many, many years, but she was a part of myself.
Yes. Yeah.
Not me saying, it's okay, you've done this many, many times. We've done this.
It's just one more time. Just check it. You know, it's very true what you said, because I remember what Andrew one time said, when we feel like a beating out, just remember all those good things that we had done, you know, like just remember that it's not just what happening now, it's, you know, in this life, in just a few days ago, a few years ago, we had done something that keep us motivated to keep going. No matter what's happening now, it's really like that, to remember the good thing that happened.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to acknowledge it, to recognize it, you know.
Yeah.
Some of those, I've had so many of those, and they have changed my life exponentially. That one person, you know.
Yeah.
Just that one person. And for me, this is quite I can appreciate that. I'm not one of those, I always say to people, I'm a lousy friend. Don't consider me a friend, you know, because I don't understand the friendship from a very global narrative perspective, you know. You have to talk gossip, and you have to be together and help each other and care and care and care and call each other all the time. And if you don't call your bad friend and all of that, I don't work that way. I don't understand that, you know. I'm always there for you if you need me, but I'm not on the phone you every 5 seconds. Are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah.
But that's the way it's supposed to be. No, like Andrew said, no string attachment. Just be there when we need it, but not to be like a suffocating one another because we are friends.
Where I'm going with this is also, we mustn't underestimate, sometimes it's not about being with people for 50 years. Sometimes it's, especially when it comes to marriage or partnership, you know, if it finishes at 50 years, well, good. You did it for 50 years, great. You obviously had, you know, karmic entanglements that had to be resolved. Or if it just changes, especially with the youngsters, you know, if I look at it, only 3 months, well, you are obviously very fast in disentangling your karma. How does it get better, right? Oh, well, no, you're just a very, you know.
But you don't have to go the same road for so many years, right?
Exactly. Why would you think about it? How many billion people out there? You know, why would you? If it works that way, you have, you know, a continuation on the dharmic path, well, by all means, yes.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a big fan. You don't just cut off because you think you have to. No, every relationship will resolve itself, and you just walk away.
Yeah.
That separation of density, we see it. It's surrender into it. You don't force it. You don't force a match, and you don't force a dismatch, if that is a word.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's that bridge. You're talking about the rainbow bridge in the
Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls. It's that bridge where intention and allowance. We have to find that balance, you know, and listen to the energetics. And I think this is really our journey now. And that's why I love your story, Tanya, because it's not just going there gambling her heart away, you know, and making lots of money. No, it's like acknowledging that the mastery is to really become adapt rather to the energetics. It's not about wanting to speak to the extraterrestrials or shaking hands with the reptilians so that you can say that you've done it. No, it's not about that. It's about really understanding. There's an understanding that this is our journey to learn the energetics, because that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? The dense physical body will become lighter until we get back to the etheric body that we used to have. But very different to what it used to be, because we have an awareness now and we can adjust it. Physical, more etheric, more astral, more this, more that. Within the level of our persona, within the personality. Now that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
One of the things I really loved hearing, right, as I was communing with these energies, was just the gratitude. You know, they had so much gratitude for me being there and just acknowledging them, right? Being able to say, hi, just I'm here. Is there anything I can, anything I can do? What messages? Do you have any messages for me? And in so many places, it was like, thank you. Just thank you for being you and doing the work. You know?
Who wants to be invisible,
Yeah.
right? Who wants to be invisible? So when we finally find a chick that can connect, it's like, oh my God, I love you.
You cannot text. You cannot see it.
It's
You
not
got to
just
see him.
us. It's not just us who want to be seen. Everyone wants to be seen on some level, right?
Yeah.
Fabulous.
To taste it and to touch it, you have to be in the flesh. Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Tanya, for doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was fun. I'd do it again. Yeah.
So how has
Yeah.
it's been a couple of days, right? Since you've been
It's been a little over a week since I've been
still percolating and stuff coming through. It's a bit like, sounds a bit like a medicine journey, you know? That's once you've done it, it just keeps coming through, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's still, still processing for sure. And then just on the heels of that, I went and spent time a week with my family, right, for my niece's wedding. So then I went directly from that to, being in a very 3D, family situation. So good. My family's great. It was really great to see
Multidimensional
everyone.
living.
So, yeah.
Multidimensional living. Love it.
Yeah.
And it's all prep. It's all preparation for once we get to the higher levels.
My brother lives in Australia, so I don't see him, maybe once a year. And he has little kids, so he has a 3-year-old now and a 6-year-old, and it's just really great to just be an auntie, and swim in the pool and just like play with the kids, because they are little star seeds also. I just like look at when I went to Iceland in June, I got this cool bracelet there, which has, like lava. The black beads are all lava, Icelandic lava.
I got one there.
Yeah, I got one too.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
my 6-year-old niece really, really wanted my bracelet. I really like this. I really like this. It feels good. I like it, so she's very open to the energy of the crystals and the rocks. And yeah, so it's funny. Are you going to give that to me? No, I'm not. I'm keeping it for myself, but I'll give you a different one.
Well, I was thinking like, as you guys were talking, like, I don't know why the people are fascinating me that were there when you were there. Like, I feel like there's something there, like, it feels like even the animals you saw and the trees and all the living things that were there like I felt like a support system. Does that make sense? Does that,
Yeah, definitely.
like definitely there were beings there supporting your journey.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I when I was in the Planet Hollywood in the shop with the giant Buddha head, there was a woman who was working there, and she was, I don't know, 20 something, young, fresh faced girl, just um and I was talking to her. I could see, I could see how galactic she was. And so I just like, said some things to her, like stop worrying so much, right? You've got this. There's a reason, right? There's a
Mhm.
reason that you're here and in this shop, and I could see her past lifetimes as an ancient master. And so I told her that, and she was just like, just started to cry a little bit, and it was a very, I think, profound experience for her, right? Just being seen and acknowledged for who she is, right? And so, I was able to do that also,
Oh yeah, that's,
to see the people who were working in these spaces. And I
yeah.
had a conversation with one of my clients on Monday, and I was telling her about my experience, and she asked the same question that you did, Amy, is did you see anyone who, like in the casinos who was, definitely like extraterrestrial? And she said, yeah, they ETs, they like Vegas because they can be really anonymous, right? They can wear their hoodie and their sunglasses and be gambling at the table, and nobody gives a shit, right? They're just there.
Yeah, that's cool.
So when we did our medicine journey in LA, I remember Abby saying that whoever will be on the plane flying over to LA or back will be part of that journey.
Mhm.
So to go back to your question there, and what you just lovely illustrated is that the journey that you've done, everyone you saw, everyone you passed by, everyone's picture you've taken, the girl you didn't even have to, everyone in one to more, degrees of separation would have been part of that journey, just like you made us part of that journey by telling us.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what I was feeling. Like
Yeah,
anytime we go to the grocery store, we're doing it,
absolutely.
you know? Yeah, that's kind of what I was feeling, like this whole, what if one of us happened to be at the same time as you were in Las Vegas? Like it's weird like that it could happen, but everybody that was there, yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree with that.
Well, and the
Participating.
And the
fact that one of my
animals.
best friend's husband was there,
Yeah,
staying at the Luxor, and then we
yeah,
had lunch the next day.
yeah. It's cool.
So, yeah, he became part of that journey too, and
Mm.
consequently, she did.
And what journeys do we become part of that we don't know?
Yeah. And most of the time people won't even know, even ourselves, we won't even
Right.
know. And that's okay too, because we don't need
Mm-hmm.
to know everything,
No.
that, just take it and see how you feel about it, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's a beacon of light, right? Once we become the beacon of light, and that's signature frequency, just like take what you want. It's okay. It's not my source energy. It's not from me. It's source energy, but not my, what's it called? My energy. Yeah. Has your dream time changed since? Any good
One
dreams?
of I've been dreaming really interesting dreams, really for the since maybe not quite last night, but for almost a week since I've been coming back. I drove back last Wednesday, and one of the things that happened in San Diego, I had a lot of really multidimensional dreams when I was there after leaving Vegas. It was almost like there was a portal energy multidimensional portal energy repair going on there that I was witnessing and being a part of.
Fabulous. Beautiful.
Yeah, seeing layers and layers, not unlike, you know, some of these rondelles, right, behind me, right? Layers, it's like the third dimensional layer is here, and then the other dimensions like build around it, right? Just like our blueprint builds. When we start having awareness, right, of those higher densities.
It's also when we get to that level, we got to actually we can all start looking beyond sensory perception. You know, I mean, don't get hung up about seeing, feeling, smelling, tasting, because obviously there are many, many more sensory perceptions out there. And, you know, just really start actually acknowledging the organ perception. You know, that goes straight to the heart, goes straight to the gut, goes straight to the throat, wherever it wants to go in the head, you know, that kind of thing. So it's a bit like that multi-million letter journey. Was it multi-million letter, something like that? Alphabet, yeah, journey.
The celestial alphabet.
Exactly, that kind of thing.
Language of light. Yeah.
So yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to translate in the human language.
Because probably it's not meant to be translated. This is when it gets to that stage where, no, just for me, just for fun, not to tell anyone. Just a little breadcrumb.
Right. Just enters into our knowingness.
Exactly. That's it.
Great mystery.
This is when we stop teaching through words. And we start teaching through emanation.
Yeah, I think those minions are teaching us to understand language, not in words. Teaching all the kids. We don't know what they're saying, but we know what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those guys.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Tanya, for taking us on that journey.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to reading your blog, if we may. You know, do put it into the Earth Nouveau whenever. And I really enjoyed that, you know, so if anyone does anything that is, you know, is beautifully to be shared like this, by all means, let me know, and we'll just sort this out. Is there anything else I wanted to say? Are there any more questions? Does anyone have any more questions for Tanya? No, I think there was a lot of Mary.
No, I don't. No, it was just fabulous to hear the whole experience, Tanya, and I really enjoyed where you took us on the journey today.
Yeah.
So come back, Mary. She's still there.
I'm here. No, I am here.
Come back.
I can be here. I can be here and there too.
And there and anywhere.
Multidimensional beings of light in human bodies. I appreciate you all so much.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Next week, okay? Thank you.
Bye.
See you next week. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.